Today I'm going to sketch this 7-Eleven signboard in my Thailand travel sketchbook. I often joke that you can't swing a cat in Chiang Mai and not hit a 7-Eleven, and that's because if you have a look at the street map for a small area of Chiang Mai, you can see that there's one on almost every street. I think that the 7-Eleven is the lifeblood for Thais and tourists alike. You can get everything from bread and milk to snacks and meals to rain ponchos and sunglasses, even beer and booze. And the one thing that you can be absolutely sure of is that the temperature will be set to Arctic temperatures inside. So the 7-Eleven is also the coolest place in Thailand, and one will often find an excuse to go there merely to cool down for 10 minutes. Finding dogs at the door of the 7-Eleven enjoying the whoosh of cold air every single time that the door opens is a common occurrence. This is the 7-Eleven signboard that I'm going to sketch today. Supplies for the sketch: I've got a pencil, a Pigma Micron permanent fine liner pen in size 0.1 and 0.3. I've got a silver black velvet brush, size 8, eraser, palette for mixing paints, and tissue for blotting. Today I'm going to use my Mungyo palette of paints. It has got 48 colors inside. And I'll be using my Moleskine Art Collection sketchbook. It is an A5 size and paper weight is 165 GSM. I am going to start with my pencil sketch already on the page. You can find a free downloadable and traceable PDF of the sketch in the description box below if you wish to trace it yourself. Otherwise, if you're going to work in pencil first and do it on your own, then do what I'm doing in pen in your pencil first and then go over in pen after. I'm using the Pigma Micron permanent marker pen in size 0.3 to do my line work. I am consciously trying to make my lines a little bit wobbly because I think that that gives the sketch a little bit more character. Always make sure that any liner pen you use with the intention of putting watercolor over the top is waterproof ink or archival ink. Then you'll make sure that your watercolor doesn't cause the ink to run when you put it on top. I'm going to move to the smaller 0.1 sized micron pen now to do the smaller lettering on the sign. And it was only today that I realized when I'm putting these letters down that in the word 11, the N is the one letter that is lowercase and everything else is uppercase. I had never seen that before. Let your ink dry and then you can erase the pencil lines underneath. I'm going to spritz my paints with water to prepare them. And now I'm going to start laying down the orange first. I will prepare a weak solution of vermilion and then just lay that down everywhere that I can see orange. I'm not going to try and do any shading or anything at this point. I'm just getting a single layer down of all the right colors in the right place. For the green, I'm going to mix up a solution of Hooker's green. I have to say that these Mungyo watercolor paints are really excellent value for money. If you're an artist that's just starting out, you're a beginner, or you're looking for good quality paints on a budget, I would definitely recommend these Mungyo watercolors. I am going to use permanent red for the red sections of the sketch. When it comes to your choice of paints, you do get two different grades of paints. You get artist level paints, which is definitely your more expensive brands, and then you get student quality like Mungyo. The disadvantage of student grade paints like Mungyo is that they don't have extreme light fastness, so a painting hung on a wall for a long period of time, you might find that the colors will fade. But if you're doing a sketch in a sketchbook like this, or you're just practicing, then light fastness is not a huge concern. And for the huge price point difference, I definitely do a lot of my practice work with student quality paints like this. I let the first layer dry, and now I'm going to come in with slightly thicker consistency of each of my colors, and I'm going to try and accentuate the curve to each of the colors In order to do that, I will make a slightly darker line at the bottom, and then I will use a damp brush to blend the paint upwards. I don't want there to be a solid line between the dark and the light colors that I've laid down, so I will blend it as much as I can to get as even a gradient change as I can get. I am battling a little with the orange to get the gradient. It all seems to be blending together into one color. So I'm just using tissue to help me blot, and then avoiding the lighter areas, just adding in darker to the bottom. And I will try to lift some of the color in the top half using a clean damp brush. Now I'll do the same for the green. I think I find the green a little bit easier for two reasons. Firstly, the band is wider, so it gives me more room to do the gradient change. And secondly, the darker green is quite a lot darker than the green I've already laid down, so it's easier to get the contrast than it was with the orange. And then the same thing with the red. Sometimes I do find it easier to lift the book upwards slightly so that the paint that I put down is forced to stay further down and doesn't naturally just bleed upwards. So that is another way that you can force the gradient change to be a little bit more gradual. As I'm sketching the 7-Eleven signboard, I'm starting to get a bit of a hankering for my favorite thing from the 7-Eleven, and that is the toasted ham and cheese sandwich. So I think firstly, as soon as this session is over, I need to go and buy myself one. And secondly, I think I'm going to have to include a sketch of it on this page in a future video. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested in food sketching. The Mungyo paint set doesn't come with any pre-prepared greys in the set, so I'm going to mix together some ultramarine and burnt sienna to get a grey shadow colour. Then I'm going to put it in on the sides of the signboard that I see are in shadow. I will do the sides and bottom of the board and then add in a bit of shadow for the side of each of the curves of the straps. Then I'm going to mix up a slightly thicker consistency of the same shadow color and just put it on the underside of the signboard. And then I'll add a bit on the underside of the number 7. I will then use my Pigma Micron liner pen in size 0.1 to add some text to the page. And there we go, I've finished the beginning of this double page spread in my sketchbook. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like it, won't you subscribe to my channel below and leave me a like and a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. Until next time, bye for now.